Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome back to $3 Theater. And today is the 6th of whatever it's called, February 2018. Sorry for not posting yesterday. I had baby stuff. For those of you who don't know, I am currently a stay-at-home dad, and so yesterday was my daughter's 2-month checkup. She got her vaccinations, and everything's just fine, but I was just too exhausted from everything to do a stream yesterday, so I ended up skipping. Plus, there wasn't really a great deal of news, and even though today ultimately wasn't really shaping up to be a great deal of news, there's some good stuff going on, and it should be pretty interesting to see where the day takes us, because there is, of course, the big news of this new Star Wars trilogy, which of course we will talk about, but in the meantime there's a couple other things I want to get to first that I do think are pretty interesting and definitely fun to jump in. So first and foremost, let's take a look here at what's going on with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where it says here that he saddles up for a Western series called Outrider. One of the interesting things about Schwarzenegger's career, and probably one of the reasons why it's as long-lasting as it is mostly due to the fact that this guy has always been able to find a way to reinvent himself. He's always been able to find something new to try out, and Schwarzenegger is always going to be like, one of the pinnacle 1980s action stars to me, but watching him try new things like the dramatic role of Maggie, where his daughter Abigail Breslin was a zombie, or even, the dramatic chops you would see in, let's say, Collateral Damage, which at the time when the movie came out, I think his anger was somewhat reflective of where the country was, seeing that 9/11 had happened just about 4 months earlier. And seeing him go over to do this when he's in his 70s shows you that he's never not willing to do something cool, in my opinion at least. So it says here, with the creative dividing lines between television and film continuing to fade, comes word that Arnold Schwarzenegger is attached to star in and executive produce a Western event series called Outrider for Amazon. The series would mark the Austrian-born actor's first major scripted television series role. Now, this is awesome on a couple of fronts. One, this isn't like, doing a network television series, so, no swearing, no violence, well, violence, but within reason, no nudity, things like that. Even though that particular line in and of itself is fading, at least in terms of USA and Sci-Fi, both subsidiaries of NBC, Universal, they are now allowing people to say the F word on TV, live. So it's kind of like, cool, we're getting there. We're getting closer to when fuck is not going to be a fucking problem. However, when it comes to stuff like Amazon and everything, they want to push the boundary because they very much want to draw in the viewers. Jeff Bezos wants Game of Thrones. That's what he wants. And maybe this is something that could help him get to that point. So co-written by Terry Galloway and Mark Montgomery, with both expected to executive produce alongside Schwarzenegger and Mace Neufeld. It's who's also an executive producer for the upcoming series Jack Ryan, which the trailer for that dropped during the Super Bowl. Looked pretty good. John Krasinski as young Jack Ryan in an Amazon series. I'm down for. And I actually liked the Kenneth Branagh directed Chris Pine movie from a couple years ago, but having a television series I think is going to be pretty good too. Now, as Deadline reports, Outlander is set in Oklahoma Indian Territory in the late 1800s and tells the dark and dangerous tale of a deputy who is not only tasked by a notoriously brutal judge with apprehending a legendary outlaw in the wilderness, but must also partner with a ruthless federal marshal to make sure that justice is properly served. And as the story unfolds, not only will enemies become allies, but a series of unpredictable surprises will blur the line between the good guys and the bad guys. And that's the always kind of nuanced storytelling that I like. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy, the actual depictions of good versus evil, who is good, who is bad, those lines being clearly defined. But when you get into storytelling, you want there to be sometimes the good and the bad, Like one of my favorite moments from Jessica Jones Season 1 was when Kilgrave attempts to be good, right? Like there was that an attempt was made, you know, comes up, and he fails, but he still made that attempt. Similar with Loki, in the Thor movies, he will occasionally attempt to be good, but it always is kind of serving his own self-interests. And this is one of those moments where it's cool to see play out. You know what I mean? It's oh wait, hold on, shit. Am I getting audio here? Oh fuck. Is kind of serving his own self-interest. Damn it. And this is one of those damn it, Echo. Yeah, I didn't catch that. Oh my god, I'm so fucking tired today. All right, well, it's caught now. Oh wait, hold on, shit. As we're 5 minutes in. Ah, fuck me and the goddamn goat ass. Son of a bitch. Damn it. I was wondering if I was going to catch that. I'm all like, make sure everything's all turned off and everything else, and I have headphones plugged in, so I wasn't hearing it. Oh, man. Yeah, that's my bad. That's my bad. Son of a bitch. Damn it. I was wondering. I don't really want to go back to the beginning of that one either, so we'll skip this story overall, but that's embarrassing. 5 minutes in. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that's my bad. Yeah. That's my bad. Son of a bitch. Damn it. I gotta bring it up. I gotta, and it's still doing it too. So we'll skip this story. Where's it coming from? Where's it fucking coming from? 5 minutes in. Oh, son of a, god damn it. It is 2 streams. Oh. Oh, man, I'm embarrassed. Okay, now it's good. Now it's fine. Okay, so what happened was I have it up on Chrome where I'm looking at the chat, and then I've got the chat is plugged in through a Firefox window over here, and both are running, and I had no fucking idea both are running. This is what I get for being an idiot. I need to turn down the desktop volume until I'm ready to use it. Oh, okay. Fun. This is, yeah. Today, just talk about Star Wars. Probably should, man. Fuck, dude. That's fucking lame. I had no idea. I had no fucking idea. Double the Matt, double the sexy. It was actually triple the Matt, triple the sexy. That's the thing. It was 2 streams. Oh, wow. All right, so I'm going to call this entire first 5 minutes, or first 7 minutes, a fucking mulligan. Because that fucked up. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. This is why I should just, this is why I was actually like legitimately thinking about this while prepping. I'm like, you know what I need to do? I need to get like a Bluetooth dongle and like have like the headphones, like just like the Apple earbuds or whatever, and then just pop one in. Just pop one in and then have that be my thing. Or I could just take my, my headphones and plug them into my microphone to modulate my sound. But yeah, that's embarrassing. Oh, shit. That was fun. Oh, wow. Okay. Give me a, hey, what's going on with you guys? Let's now that it's fixed, let's head back over here. Okay, hold on. Oh, man. Oh, fucking man. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. I don't I mean, on live streams, these things happen. You know what I mean? Like, that's part of the whole thing is live streams, these things happen. Uploaded, it's too goddamn funny. I'll just fucking, no, I won't. I won't. I was all like, all right, getting back into it, man. I thought about taking today off. I was like, yeah, I don't really know if I want it. I'm tired. Like, I was up all night with the kid, and she got me up really early, and I've been, with her all day, and I've just been exhausted, and I'm just like, I don't want to fucking do anything. I just want to hang out, play video games. And then I saw the notification for Star Wars, and I'm just like, I gotta talk about that. So, okay. So, hey, at least it's during the story that I don't like the least interesting story of the day. I like the cool idea of Schwarzenegger going back and being a federal marshal and hunting down, bad guys and stuff. And I think that's going to be, I think it's going to be good. But I guess we'll just have to What is up with my curtain over here? There we go. Good times. All right, let me... Oh. Okay. So, yeah, let's jump into the next one here then. We'll jump into the next one. Cloverfield Paradox came out the other day. Like immediately following the Super Bowl, and a lot of people jumped right over to go watch it, and the reviews have been mixed. I personally really enjoyed the movie. I liked the connection to the Cloverfield universe, but I felt that there could have been a little bit more to really kind of tighten it up. A lot of other people felt the same way, but ultimately the movie, I would believe, in terms of fan response, has been better well received than it has been with critics. Critics giving it very, very, very low ratings, and there's been lots and lots and lots of speculation as to why. Now, the full details as to why and how this deal came through, as far as I know, are not confirmed yet. And I'm hoping that we get to the actual full thing and what this means for the future of the franchise. But one little tidbit of information that we did learn was that J.J. Abrams reportedly wanted to do more post-production work on the Cloverfield Paradox, but didn't, and that could actually have led to the connection between the movies, adding it to like the anthology part of the franchise, feeling as weak as it did because they weren't able to fully integrate in everything they wanted to do. And now that... ultimately, just before we jump into this here, does strike me as a problem, because when you have a franchise like Cloverfield that is meant to kind of, run like more of an anthology, or they're all kind of somewhat interconnected, you want to make sure that it works. And taking an already made movie or an already written script and trying to shoehorn it into the Cloververse does get a little bit annoying. Fans like it, they really like it, and they want to see it continue, but they want it done in a way that doesn't feel like it's just lazy. And there are a lot of complaints about Cloverfield Paradox and the connection to Cloverfield universe as being lazy. And in some ways I agree, but at the same time, I feel there's more to the story, and we're going to get that as time goes on. Now, it says here that The Hollywood Reporter notes that J.J. Abrams allegedly wanted to make post-production adjustments to Cloverfield Paradox. Netflix's unexpected announcement that the Cloverfield Paradox would be released immediately after the Super Bowl was certainly exciting to fans of the film series, although many later agreed that it was the weakest in the franchise. When news broke that Netflix was in talk to acquire the third Cloverfield film from Paramount, The Hollywood Reporter reported that insiders were aware the film needed work and that J.J. Abrams intended to get down to business in post-production. However, the outlet sources that Abrams' unexpected return to Star Wars franchise following Colin Trevorrow's firing from Episode 9 ultimately prevented him from giving the Cloverfield Paradox attention. And that actually would make a lot of sense, right? That actually does make a fair amount of sense here. So let's, there's going to be some spoilers here for Cloverfield Paradox ultimately. So if you haven't seen it, go see it, then come back. But essentially, the way it connects is just that, the God particle, the station, Cloverfield Station, using the Large Hadron Collider to create the energy source in space, somehow brought in the monster from their dimension, or from another dimension, to Earth. That's what they were insinuating. But the problem with that is we never really got a lot it never really was super solidified, right, as to why. Okay, because the general core concept of the film is that they run the experiment, it works, but it transports them to another dimension or another universe, a multiverse. And they actually end up occupying the same exact Cloverfield station that that particular universe was using. And that becomes part of the paradox, part of the problem. But how Clovey, or Clover, whatever you want to call the monster, comes into play here was not explained. Right. It was very much not explained. It was hinted at as to, oh, this is how it got there, how she got there, but we don't know. And we never saw it. And that's one of the biggest problems here. I mean, if you look at the idea behind 10 Cloverfield Lane, they had a lot of time leading up into 10 Cloverfield Lane to lay the clues to kind of show what was going on. Even though the movie was originally made under the name of Valencia, and it was from a script originally titled The Cellar, it didn't have anything to do with Cloverfield outside of that one shot that was inserted later on, of Bold Futura, a Tagarato company that John Goodman had worked for. And then you get a little bit more information about John Goodman and his obsession with his daughter, and how it all kind of ties into aliens and satellites and so on and so forth. So that kind of gave us a little bit more information in that movie. But this one didn't really have much of that, just that Clovey showed up. Now, what we know is in this universe now, Cloverfield is there. The monster is there, and the monster is full grown. It is not a baby like she was in the first Cloverfield movie. And that, according to J.J. Abrams, in that universe, that Cloverfield is dead. So somewhere, someplace else is where these monsters are coming from. Even though, according to J.J. Abrams, originally in Cloverfield, this monster was birthed from the sea. So I don't know. Now, there's been theory and speculation that aliens actually came to Earth a long time ago and implanted the eggs themselves, laid the eggs themselves, and then we're coming back to check on them after the events of Cloverfield. And that was what happened with the alien invasion at the end of 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I actually thought was a pretty cool idea. I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of cool if they tied them together that way, where even though it was 8 years later, it still would be part of the same coherent timeline or cohesive timeline. And that's not something they necessarily worked on. This one feels, again, it's totally separate. So these Twilight Zone, Black Mirror-esque takes on Cloverfield, while cool, definitely suffer in the back end because of that lack of connection. And I think fans are wanting to see something a little bit more on the nose, because they don't want to feel like their time is being wasted. And Cloverfield Paradox, in the way that it handled the situation, at least based upon initial reviews of it, does kind of feel like it did to an extent. But that being said, whatever's going on with Overlords, which is the next movie, I really do hope that they've got a lot of stuff lined up for it. I hope they got their ARG set. I hope they've got their background information set, and I really hope that they know what the hell that they're doing, because fans, will take this one as a bit of an L, and they'll come back for the next one. But if the next one is done like this, then we get that. But the problem with that too is, if this is to be believed, and J.J. Abrams did not give the post-production time that he wanted to give to the Cloverfield Paradox because of Star Wars Episode 9, he's still working on that. Like, they pitched the idea already to Kathleen Kennedy, and they're working on the script right now, and they're going to probably start shooting, next year or maybe later this year. No, they're going to start shooting later this year for Christmas 2019, bid and everything else. So obviously, yeah, if Overlords doesn't already have a lot of this kind of stuff in place, then we're probably going to get a very similar experience to Cloverfield Paradox, which, if you want my honest opinion, as much as I want to see it this year, as much as I want to continue the franchise, I waited 10 years for 3 films. I can wait a little bit longer. And I really can. I think that's totally fine. So let me see here. Okay, so what are you guys talking about on here? Oh, you guys talking about? Okay, you guys are talking about Solo. Okay, cool. We'll jump over to the next one then. All right, so the next one, I actually have to have the audio turned on a bit. Let's see. Cool. All right, so you may be asking yourself why Wolverine is on the thumbnail for today's live show. Well, that actually has to do with the release, or the announcement, I should say, of Wolverine: The Long Night, which is a podcast series coming from Marvel and going straight to Stitcher. And this should be interesting, because I don't know how long this particular series is going to go on for. But obviously, they're trying to make this into an ongoing audio series, saying here you can listen for free for 1 month with code Marvel. But let's take a look as to what this is. So it says, following a string of mysterious deaths in Burns, Alaska, Special Agent Sally Pierce and Tad Marshall arrive to investigate. They soon find that there's more going on than meets the eye. This is the first scripted podcast from Marvel, starring Celia Keenan-Bolger and Atto Essendoya as Agents Pierce and Marshall, with Richard Armitage as Wolverine, also featuring Scott Adsit, Bob Balaban, Zoe Chow, Andrew Keegan Bulger, and Brian Stokes Mitchell. Now, that's not much, but that seems interesting. Okay, so it's special agents are sent into Alaska to investigate a string of mysterious deaths, and somehow this ties around Wolverine. Well, taking a look here at the cast, you can see a couple faces you might recognize here. Scott Adsit comes from 30 Rock. Bob Balaban's been a bad guy in many things. I'm trying to recognize some other these people, but I don't really. But here's the cast. We can see who they are if you ever want to go and look up. But the reason why I want to talk about this is because, for one, I like audio dramas. I've worked on a few of them. I actually voiced Jack Frost in a Christmas episode of the Byron Chronicles, which is a series that my friend Eric puts on. I've helped out on a few other ones, and ultimately I like radio drama. I like a lot of radio stuff. If you notice, my type of content is very kind of talk radio-esque. That's kind of how this podcast works. But so I love this kind of stuff, and ultimately my goal one day is to create content like this myself. In fact, I'm working on launching a project later on this year that I think is going to be a lot of fun for people who like movies and who want to see some kind of scripts come to life. So in the meantime, though, I wanted to check out this trailer from the show so we can actually see just what the hell it's all about and whether or not it's going to be worth your money at all. If I could just get my damn headphone here. But here, let's take a listen to this.
Look, I know how it sounds, but I swear it's true, and I'd swear it on the good book. I saw him out there. So I was worming my way up a ridge, and glass in the meadow below, the wolves are fading in and out of sight. And that's when I saw him. A man. He's crouched low, and he's running with the wolves. So I shouldered my rifle, and I drew a bead on him, you know, just to focus, not to kill, just to watch. Suddenly I'm upwind. Just like that, the man's bloody face rises up, and he stared right at me.
Have you ever met a man named Logan?
He had claws. Claws.
Heard you've been asking around about me.
I heard about what happened to the Riley girl.
Tell me more.
They found her on a hiking trail. She was in ribbons.
Did you know that they never found her head?
So, what has your investigation turned up so far?
Lots of questions.
2 women are dead. If you have information about these murders,
Or Logan?
you should tell us.
Listen up. There's a killer in the woods. It's gonna hurt more of us. I won't stand by.
My memory is a mess. More and more stuff's coming back. Sometimes I wake up naked in the woods with a taste of blood in my mouth. And I think, what have you done?
Look, I'm telling you, man.
Logan,
This guy's a psycho.
what have you done?
People are getting cut to pieces. He's to blame.
Mom, what's happening? What is that?
Go to your room and get under the bed and do not come out until I tell you. Go!
There is evil at work here, and we are its enemy.
So you think Logan's a good person?
I do.
Came here because I was running.
Logan,
Running from myself.
Logan, please.
But I'm not gonna run again.
I promise.
Maybe he's good then.
No. I'm one of the good guys.
Or maybe not.
Killing is a sin, isn't it? So I'm a sinner. All right.
Marvel and Stitcher present Wolverine, The Long Night, starring Richard Armitage as Logan. Debuting March 12th, exclusively on Stitcher Premium.
Okay. So, as far as trailers go, I know that when it comes to an audio trailer, it's a bit of a hard thing to establish it, right? Like you would want there to be like a narrator to kind of narrate what you're not seeing. and then use the mind's eye to tell you the rest. What we got here was just a selection of scenes meant to kind of establish the tone, which does come across as a little bit dark, as a little bit dreary, as some kind of, gritty-esque mystery set in Alaska, with Wolverine being the prime suspect, obviously, of these murders, when, of course, we're going to learn that, he's probably going to be trying to find the people who committed it themselves. So maybe it might come across as a bit like a True Detective meets Wolverine situation. Not horrible, but the trailer clearly is not indicative of what I'm hoping is the quality. If you want my honest opinion, I did not think the trailer was very good, because there's so many voices that are happening, so many things that are happening, that it's very much going to make it hard, I think, to tell you what it's going to be about. So, like I said, I've worked on audio projects before. I've worked on audio series. Creating a trailer is very difficult, simply because of what it is you have to convey. So I will give this a listen when it comes out, March 12th. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I do love audio dramas that are done right. I definitely like, if you're looking for something to kind of tide you over till then, there's a series on the Nerdist called We're Alive that was written and directed by a man named Casey Wayland. I've personally known Casey since about 2010 when he was working on the first season of the show. And he's a really good guy, and it's a really fantastic, well thought out audio series. It's insanely good. So I'd recommend something like that if you want to jump into that world. But this is not something that I'm against. I'm intrigued by it. The story sounds interesting. We'll have to wait and see what's going on. My biggest, I think, problem with it was even coming through my headphones. I felt like there was no like bass. Right. The audio effects felt kind of tinny. It felt like I'm listening to an old school radio program, which given today's, given the average person's ability to do audio post-production and audio sweetening in hell, even like Audacity or, Adobe Audition, it shouldn't be like that. But also if you like gaming type stuff and something like this, there's a Halo one called The Hunt, I think. I think it's The Hunt. It's got Keegan-Michael Key as the main character, and it's really good. That's a solid 4-hour audio series. You can find the whole thing on YouTube. So yeah, I'm hoping that it's good. We'll definitely have to give it a watch or give it a listen on March 12th, and I'll definitely review it to let you guys know if it's any good to go and get the service for it. But based on the trailer, I don't know. I don't quite know. I figure I'll try the first one. If it's not good, then screw it. Seriously, just not good, then screw it. But I mean, I thought it was a cool concept, and I wanted to share it with you guys to see if that's something you all might be interested in. So, well, Fuzzy Cat, it's not audio books. It's an audio drama. It's way different than that. But yeah, the acting was not the best thing about it, obviously. But I wanted to check it out and see whether or not it's gonna be any good. But let's find out. So the next thing I want to talk about here is Black Panther. Now, Black Panther comes out next week, and the reviews dropped today, and it's currently sitting at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, with 55 reviews giving it a fresh score. And if you guys don't remember, a few months ago, I was doing this kind of like Rotten Tomatoes recap of certain movies coming out to kind of look to see what reviewers are saying, and that's ultimately what we're going to be doing here. But first, I do kind of want to kind of address what I believe is the elephant in the room. The suspicious nature of the 100%. Now, don't get me wrong, Black Panther looks amazing, and Ryan Coogler's film is one that I am excited to see in IMAX next Thursday. But that being said, come on, no movie is perfect. And I have to really question if the recent drama surrounding the Rotten Tomatoes score from the audience score has anything to do, or that potential hit, that threat of a hit, has anything to do with the 100% that it's gotten. right? Because given the fact that Facebook had to shut down the troll group, that which is not going to stop them from acting, and then you've got the you've got Rotten Tomatoes basically trying to say that if any kind of review is hate filled or has racism in it, they're going to delete it, which I don't entirely disagree with. If you got someone on there saying this whole movie's just a whole bunch of N-words, expletive deleted type stuff, then yeah, get rid of it. It's not a constructive comment at that point, so what's the point of having it? Really, I mean, that could be their opinion, but at the same time, it's kind of like, reword it, come back, sort of thing. So let's take a look here at the all critics for Rotten Tomatoes here, because I just find it to be really, really, really interesting with these reviews. So what you've got is let's just do the top critics, right? The ones that they really, really like. So Stephanie Zarek from Time Magazine, I'm sorry, I mispronounced that name, says Black Panther is set largely in Wakanda. There is a detour to South Korea. Still, there's no shaking the feeling that this is what America looks like when it's allowed to be its truest free itself. That's a superhero challenge if there ever was one. That's a very interesting quote to have be the top of the top critics. Right? Because the subject of Black Panther and Wakanda and race has come up a lot in terms of how this film is being portrayed before it releases. I do happen to believe that a comment like this is very much at the top for a specific reason, to somewhat set the tone that if you are looking at this movie from the lens of, as I guess you could say, anti-white, so to speak, what they're trying to ultimately say is that this is what America would look like if it was set to its truest, freest self, in whatever capacity that means. Frank Lovelace here from Newsday says, while ultimately an action and adventure, Black Panther also serves as an intelligent, if broad, debate between revolutionary rhetoric and the responsibilities of leadership. Again, focusing more on the political nature of Black Panther, I looking at the trailer for Black Panther, the trailers, multiple trailers. I've never seen anything in there that would really remotely discuss about revolutionary rhetoric and responsibilities of leadership. There is a line from one of the trailers about you can be the king you want to be, and that probably will tie into it, but you figure that given how Marvel generally operates with the way it writes films, is that they're going to maybe set up that idea and then kind of just let it go to move the story forward into the action of what Killmonger is trying to do and taking over Wakanda, which obviously, showing us the trailers, at some point he technically does. Now, Liz Brown from the Toronto Sun says, Black Panther is every bit as good as you were hoping. Actually, it's better. A terrific screenplay from Ryan Coogler and Joe Robert Cole elevates this thing way beyond the usual boundaries of the Marvel Universe. And that's actually a good sign, because Marvel, let's be fair, as much as I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I do, it suffers from a bit of a problem when it comes to the idea of homogenization. They have the hero, they've got a lackluster villain, they've got fun side characters, they have their adventure, there's a couple tie-ins to other movies and the larger narrative from that phase as a whole, and then, Bob's your uncle and you're on to the next one. There isn't really a lot there with Marvel films to ultimately sink your teeth into for villains. Again, outside of Loki. So hopefully Killmonger, and what I've been hearing about Killmonger is that he's very good and actually makes for a very awesome villain. Now, David Ehrlich here says, you'll believe in T'Challa, you believe Wakanda, and you believe maybe the first time that the MCU actually matters. Well, the MCU has mattered in many, many, many significant ways. I find this interesting that this line again is here. It's saying ultimately that the MCU as a whole has kind of been up to this point, and this is what really kicks it off. Their 18th movie, they finally hit their stride, is what I look at that. And I'm like, it's always kind of been there. If they allow them to be a little bit freer in terms of the filmmaking process and the way that the director takes the movie while still kind of operating underneath that umbrella, then maybe he's got a point. Now, Jake Cole here says, it's easy to lament how long it took to bring Black Panther to the big screen, but at least the wait was worth it. Well, Marvel had to very much sit there and figure out how they wanted to play this out. They had to sit there and create the cinematic universe, to have the franchises do very well, to build up the core 5 characters in order to then expand out into, you could say almost their B team. I'm not saying that Black Panther is a B team, but they would have never launched the MCU with Black Panther. There's just no way they could have done that. They had to develop and build and build and build and build, and then also honor contracts and things like that. So now that they're in their stride, and they're 18 movies in 10 years, hitting their stride, you very much can see what's going on here. Brian Lowry from CNN.com says, Black Panther pounces towards the head of the class, making, or in a way that should make the king and his key subjects a cornerstone of an already formidable roster. And they are, actually. A lot of them are jumping over to being on the other movies. They're going to show up in Avengers Infinity War. And I think we talked about this the other day, where the sequels for Black Panther and the characters are already somewhat being discussed, where you've got the idea that they're going to then kind of make their way out into the greater MCU as a whole, in order to keep those actors working and keep those characters going, is going to be, I think, something that they're all working on, which is really cool, because then that ultimately helps continuously solidify the cinematic universe as a whole. Well, and I will be fair here, kind of maybe adding a bit more of a diverse cast into it, and so I think that's going to be good. Let's see here. Alonzo Duralde says, when Black Panther works, it's thrillingly alive. Okay, sure. Kenneth Turon here says, we didn't know we'd be nearing for it till it arrived, but now it's here. It's unmistakable that the wait for the film like Black Panther has been way longer than it should have been. Well, as I just previously explained, given how the MCU works, they probably could not have done it in the way that they wanted to in order to set up the Avengers Infinity War. Like I said, you have your core characters. Those have done very well. The only way Black Panther would have probably worked out prior to this would have been through a Netflix series. But we have Luke Cage for that, so it kind of fills that particular quota. Not to say you can't have multiple, just saying that in the way that they're trying to, the Defenders, which I think ultimately didn't Black Panther and Luke Cage team up, I think at some runs or something, so they could have brought that in, but you can kind of see, like, from just a movie making perspective, establish the core franchise and then go from there. You don't want to run before you can walk, sort of thing. David Edelstein here says, Coogler has proven he can play in the big boy's house. From what I can see, I agree. Manola Dargis from the New York Times says, most big studio fantasies take you out for a joyride only to hit the same exhausted story and franchise expanding beats. Not this one. And that actually has me probably the most excited, simply because, yes, as I pointed out, they very much are homogenized. They very much follow a set structure. And if this one breaks the mold of that, I think that will definitely be something good for the future. And I'm excited for that. Brian Truitt here says, while themes are deep, Black Panther is at the same time a visual joy to behold, with confident quirkiness, insane action sequences, and special effects. The glorious reveal of Wakanda. And I'm waiting. Oh man, I'm waiting for I'm waiting for Twitter to react to the reveal of Wakanda, and then because when they showed us the first trailer, and they showed Wakanda, there were legitimately people who went on Twitter and were saying that that Wakanda would be a reality if white people had stayed out of Africa. Like, I'm not trying to jump in that conversation, but it's like, I guess you can see ultimately from a comment like that you can see that there were people out there who have been waiting for this kind of representation. And I'm quite frankly glad that they're getting it. If other people out there want to make it a race issue, that's their prerogative, right? There's nothing we can do about that. People are trying to claim that this whole Rotten Tomato audience score thing is an alt-right racist hit job. It's not. It's from people who hate Disney and are trying to hurt Disney because they hurt Star Wars. That's what it boils down to. But of course, none of the people are talking about that because it doesn't fit their narrative. But the truth of the matter is that that's where it lies. Peter DeBruge here says, Black Panther celebrates its hero heritage while delivering one of Marvel's most appealing and standalone installments to date. Good. Lee Greenblatt here says, thank God for the women besides Boseman, including his regal mother, Ramonda, the brainiac baby sister, Shuri, and fearless warrior protector, Okoye. They're indomitable and so gorgeous, vividly drawn. And that, I think, is actually really going to be a driving point for this movie. Like, I'm talking, like, when I'm talking about, like, long-lasting box office returns, it's going to be predominantly led by probably black women because of these characters. And the thing is, and I say this bringing up Suicide Squad, because one of the reasons why Suicide Squad was so profitable was because many women continue to go back to the theater in order to watch Harley Quinn. And I'm maybe in some areas, like maybe Katana and and the Witch and everything else. But I think this is going to be a big push for Black Panther in terms of its long, I mean, come on, you got Black Panther coming out during Black History Month. That wasn't a coincidence. At no point am I criticizing that. I'm saying it's smart. It's smart marketing. Todd McCarthy from The Hollywood Reporter says with uncanny timing, get it? Marvel takes the superheroes into a domain they've never inhabited before and is all the better for it in Black Panther, which is true. We do need to expand out from where things are, and this character is very cool, and getting this world is going to be a lot of fun. And Peter Travers here saying, say this about Black Panther, which raises movie escapism into very near the level of art. You've never seen anything like it in your life. And honestly, that's what I'm looking forward to. Something that I haven't seen. And it feels weird to say that on the 18th run of a Marvel film that maybe now we are getting something we ultimately haven't seen. And that should be fascinating in its own right, because the way that it looks like it's going to be presented is that it might be worth this 100%. Now, wait for the audience at large to see it. Wait to see whether or not that group does actually come through and attack the audience score. And then we wait for all of the general responses from the movie bloggers that are going to be decrying it as racist, while completely overlooking the origins announced by the group itself. And then of course we're going to see mass defense of the film. And that's actually my biggest fear for Black Panther, is that the movie will not be given the opportunity to stand on its own from a creative basis. My biggest fear for Black Panther is that the movie is going to be very much treated like Ghostbusters 2016, where instead of being a movie, a fantasy film, something you turn your brain off for a couple hours and watch and enjoy, it ends up becoming this battleground over race and over representation, and that ends up taking over and just dominating the conversation, rather than looking at the movie of its own merits and going like, damn, that was good, or damn, that wasn't good. Unfortunately, given how polarizing everything is these days, I just feel like we're going to see more of the former, and I don't want that. I don't want that one bit. And the really sucky thing is that all I can do is talk about it, but I'm utterly powerless to stop it. Really, this is nothing we can do. Nothing we can do on that one. So, Marvel needs to have Storm for Black Panther 2. There's been those conversations about it. So Harley Quinn is a meth addict's wet dream. No. Lexi Bell dressed as Harley Quinn is my wet dream. I'll say, why is America so racist these days? I don't know. Any chance of a Ugandan Knuckles cameo? I hope somebody photoshops in Ugandan Knuckles. I really do. I really hope that someone does. I think that'd be really, really fucking funny. T'Challa know the way. Do you know the way? T'Challa know the way. We should definitely superimpose that or overlay that in on some like parts of the movie when it comes out. I think that'd be pretty funny. To be honest with you, I think that'd be pretty damn funny. All right, take a quick peek here at something. So hold on. Oh, okay. Hey, what do you know? Someone just sent me a thing for like Philip DeFranco's new video, and I beat him to a story. Ha ha. I like it when I beat Philip DeFranco to a story. Okay, so now we're coming into the last one here. And I feel like hold on, sorry, I'm getting a text message. Okay, my girlfriend's texting me, so I want to make sure everything's fine. You know how it is. You got to make sure everything's good. Got to make sure the family's fine. Okay. All right. Sorry. Again, being a stay-at-home dad, you get you know how it is. All right, everything's good. We're fine. We're good. So, okay, last story of the day. Here's the thing. If you guys got questions, we'll do solid 10-15 minutes of BSing after the last story. Just for the sake of questions, go ahead and send them over to mundanemat.com/submit movie-specific questions. That way I can at least look at some of those, and we can actually get conversations. So mundanemat.com/submit. Ask your movie-related questions there, and we'll have a lot of fun with that. So, all right, finally. Wait, hold on. I want to fix... I forgot this is on, yeah, I don't want that. Okay. Sorry. It's, mobile. The mobile link came through. I hate the mobile link. All right. I wonder if I could do this real quick. Hold on. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, fucking Star Wars, fucking Star Wars, fucking Star Wars. That's horrible, and never, ever, ever do that. But it works, though. The Star Wars with Game of Thrones. I'll have to find a way to make it work beat-wise. But we're going to be hearing a lot of that going on over the course of the next couple of years, because Game of Thrones creators are going to write and produce a new Star Wars series of films. What? Don't get me wrong, I am in no way against this. I mean, like, my nipples are hard. They can cut glass sort of thing. Like, my nipples are so hard, they would run the Bloods and the Crips at the same time. That is how hard they are for this. Game of Thrones is a show I adore. I freaking adore. And as you guys know, I happen to be a Star Wars fan. I'm rocking an Ewok shirt, all right? Fuck the haters. All I'm saying about that one. These guys... coming on board to work in Star Wars is something that's really cool. Because also I can just, I want them to destroy Rian Johnson. I want that to happen. Although those movies are going to do their thing. But it says here that Game of Thrones creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss are going to write and produce a new series of Star Wars films. The new series will be separate from the main episodic Skywalker saga that started with Star Wars A New Hope and is slated to wrap up with 2019 Star Wars Episode 9. It will also exist independently from the Rian Johnson helmed series that was announced last year. Thank God for that. David and Dan are some of the best storytellers working today, says Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, in a statement. Their command of complex characters, deep story, and richness of mythology will break new ground and boldly push Star Wars in ways I find incredibly exciting. You know what this means? You know what this means, right? Like, there's only one way this can go. Okay, they're going to do a series of films. All right. But they're gonna have to take it to television. Like, you know that. Like, you freaking know that the freaking this. I'm going full on speculation mode right here. But we know for a fact that Disney is getting ready to launch a streaming service in 2019. All right. Who has the hottest show on cable television like ever right now? And that is Game of Thrones. That's HBO's Game of Thrones, which wraps up next year. You sons of bitches. I have to wait a whole year. But the point is, it's coming to an end, which is going to free up these guys. And there was that show Confederate that they wanted to work on last summer that they talked about, where the South had won and it had divided the United States, and it was going to be a drama. And a lot of people were just like, whoa, 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 man, hold up here. That's racist. It wasn't, but whatever. It's telling a story. But that, I feel, is probably going to die, because HBO's response to that was, we maybe could have handled it a little bit better, guys. We maybe could have, handled this a wee bit better, which is true. They could have handled it a bit better, but you were never not going to get that reaction. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. So that story practically is probably gone. Right? Or these guys are just going to be producers in name only. It's going to be a totally different show, but I guarantee you, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss are not on it anymore. Okay, that's not going to happen. So what they're going to do now, and this is what Disney is doing. Disney is setting these guys up to rock a Star Wars series for years to come. I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen. These guys are working on their own Star Wars saga. All right, so they're going to do a series of film, and then they're going to take that and they're going to transfer that to television for the streaming service, because we know Disney is going to be making Star Wars content for their streaming service. And what better way to get in there and just not only fuck with Netflix, but really mess with Amazon and Jeff Bezos as well, is to bring the Game of Thrones guys into Disney, into Star Wars, to tell a Star Wars version of Game of Thrones, respectively. Again, nipples so hard, they would cut diamonds. Okay? Like, that idea right there has me, I'm ready. Because I think it's great. It also comes at a time of transition for Benioff and Weiss. Game of Thrones, their sprawling fantasy epic, will end its run on HBO in 2019. The show has been a massive hit for the premium cabler and has been hailed by fanboys and critics alike for its ability to mix spectacle and political wrangling. Game of Thrones is adapted from George R. R. Martin's books. Benioff and Weiss previously announced that they were developing another series for HBO called Confederate. However, that show generated a great deal of controversy over its plotline, an alternate history series that imagines the American Civil War ended in a stalemate and slavery remains legal, which some deemed insensitive. HBO declined to comment on the future of that series, basically meaning that it's probably dead. Mostly because Amazon decided to counter that, by the way, with the show. Was it called Life or something? I don't know. It's about like basically like basically I think it's like an alternative version where like blacks got their own, like a black ethno state or something, essentially. I have to go back and look at what it was. That was more about like hope and overcoming what happened from the Civil War, which I agree with. In the summer of 1977, we traveled to a galaxy far, far away. We've been dreaming of it ever since, Benioff and Weiss said in a joint statement. We are honored by the opportunity, a little terrified by the responsibility, and so excited to get started soon as the final season of Game of Thrones is complete. Hell yeah. That means as soon as that shit is done, as soon as that is done, they're moving on, which means a 2021 release date of this movie. Guaranteed. 2021 release. Maybe even a 2020 release of this first film, depending on how fast they want to rock it. Given the fact these dudes have executive produced a series that has shows that look amazing, that have operated on a budget of $6 million roughly an episode, shooting in ultimate like 9 countries is where they shoot this show. You know, they're going to be able to take that and really, really, really focus it in. And if they put a political angle on it, that will translate so well to getting a television series. I have a feeling that's what's going to happen here. I have a feeling we're going to see this do some movies, and then by the 3rd movie, it's going to launch a TV series strictly for Disney's streaming service. And that, of course, is going to kick some serious ass. Now, it does say here that Disney did not give a timeline for when these Penn films will hit theaters. On an earnings call, Bob Iger said that the two men have approached the studio with an idea a while ago. Even though the duo made their name in television, Iger said they were not interested in doing something on the small screen. Their interest was in crafting a series of films that are Star Wars based. To my knowledge, they didn't express an interest about a series, but that doesn't matter, man. That doesn't matter. All right. Game of Thrones gets like 45 million people watching it when it comes out. And then that many people also torrent the show. Okay. Like they know how to wrangle fans into watching this, and bringing over just the guys behind Game of Thrones to do Star Wars is going to help Disney push for that series. I guarantee that's what's going to happen. That's what I'm calling it now. That's my speculation. Whatever they're going to write is going to tie into a series, and Disney will fund it. They won't even question it. They will give them whatever they want, and this is exactly where it's going to go. And oh man, I'm so happy. I'm so excited for this because yes, I'm a Star Wars fanboy. I have no problem admitting that. I'm a Game of Thrones fanboy. Even though season 7 kind of felt a little bit like fan fiction, just saying, I will admit that, because they had, you know, fewer episodes to wrap up so many storylines or to set up the finale. It's still awesome, and I cannot freaking wait. Seriously, that's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to that. I am so looking forward to that. They didn't run Game of Thrones into the ground once they caught up to George R. R. Martin. He told them where things are going. I just realized, I think what it was is here's what I think with that. I think is George R. R. Martin didn't have a planned end. There's a reason why the final 2 books haven't come out yet, and the series has been around for, 8 years or 7 years, right? As of this year. So it's kind of like there's that. And I think actors want to move on to other stuff. So wait for Kathleen Kennedy to be a pain in the ass, probably. So there's that. Oh my God. Okay, so all right. Okay, so no one has asked questions on the website. That's fine. That's fine. I guess we'll just read the comments here, or the chat here for a few. And that's okay. So, okay. Let's see what you guys have to say here. So we'll do this for a few more minutes. Torture porn in space, thank Kennedy. You think it's gonna, you think let's see here. Okay, hold on. Well, there's a bit of a delay, unfortunately, so stuff's going to come through. But yeah, ultimately, I'm looking forward to what's going to happen. I think Star Wars from these guys are going to be good. They're going to, you know, they're going to have to. Disney's going to offer them whatever they want to go over. I guarantee that. I guarantee that. Let's see. No dead like in Game of Thrones, but fighting with love. Oh, you mean like no White Walkers in Game? What are you talking about? Yeah, George R. R. Martin's a huge procrastinator. Yeah. Will we get an R-rated Star Wars? Probably not. Star Wars will never go R-rated, but their TV shows might go TVMA. You know, dealing with some themes. A new trilogy of films is Star Wars related. Yeah. Game of Star Thrones Wars or some shit, pretty much. Expect Game of Thrones to have a predictable cliche ending, probably. So, okay. So Dotto Man says, "You be optimistic, Matt. I'll be content to be right instead." Okay. You know, your opinion isn't going to change my enjoyment of something. You know, did I think Cloverfield sucked? No, I like Cloverfield. I did. I thought the first half of Cloverfield Paradox was actually quite solid. The last half maybe dove a bit too much into the realm of kind of whatever. But I mean, the connectivity between the two between the movies, I think took the biggest hit. But ultimately, the movie was pretty solid, and it's definitely something I'll watch again. So, incest and dragons and Star Wars, yeah. Don Draper here says, these movies aren't happening. Kennedy is showing something shiny to distract from the lack of glitter on Solo trailer. I do find it interesting that they did announce this information the day after the Solo trailer. That is interesting to me. That is interesting. But the Solo trailer was pretty well received overall. It was pretty well received. So I don't know. Captain Phasma trilogy. Yeah. Mystic Marble, the Star Wars talk just happened, but you can rewind the stream back, like I'd say 15 minutes, and you should be able to get it. Or the clip from it will be uploaded to YouTube here a little bit later on tonight. If I like a movie, it means it's usually mediocre. Oh, come on, man. I saw The Post, like three billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. I'm halfway through The Shape of Water. Would I consider the Cloverfield movies experimental? No, ZMS, I wouldn't. I would actually consider the Cloverfield movies an experiment in what not to do. I think it's an experiment in creating a sci-fi anthology, very loosely connected, that will eventually kind of age with fans because they're not going to want to sit there and they're going to want to be told something. You know, it's kind of like the Paranormal Activity movies. Go back and watch the Paranormal Activity movies and you get one line about the overall story of the demon and like where it came from or whatever in each movie. I'm not even kidding you. In the first movie, you got the whole thing with the sister and the house being burned when they were kids. In the second movie, you got what was a line? There was a line in that movie about when they were kids as well that dealt with more of that. And the third one, it was the witches. You got the one line about the witches and then you see the witches at the end, but there's not a lot there. Not a lot there. Oh, right. I forgot. Yeah. I did see something about this. I don't think they're going to do Knights of the Old Republic. Eventually, Disney will do Knights of the Old Republic, but it's not going to be anytime soon, no matter how much fans want it. I don't think... While I feel like if they tackled the Revan storyline, I think that these guys could probably do the Revan storyline pretty well. So... no, Rain Promotions, Ryan Johnson still has the thing. He still has it. So you're waiting on that District 9 sequel. Me too. I think it's never going to happen though. I think it's never going to happen right now because Neil Blomkamp is enjoying doing short films. Am I going to get the Pokemon game for the Switch? Yeah, I am. I'm going to get that for the Switch because I freaking want it, man. I want that. I think it's going to be good. Okay, let me take a quick look here. All right. I'm having a little bit, surprisingly, the upload is fine. My download is crap right now, so my internet's kind of sputtering out, but at least I can upload just fine, so that's good. Oops, wrong one. Okay. All right, where is that at? So, do I think they'll retcon the bad stuff from The Last Jedi in the opening crawl? I think they're going to retcon some stuff. I think they're going to retcon some stuff. I don't know what they're going to retcon. I think they're going to kill off Princess Leia pretty unceremoniously. Or if they're going to do it ceremoniously, it's going to be done with, like, you know, totally off screen and stuff. So, you don't think they're going to keep Johnson for Kennedy? We'll have an answer if Solo fails. I mean, Solo has Ron Howard behind it, so that's going to be something big. But you can't argue with a $1.3 billion box office return. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to argue with that. So there's definitely that. Don Wrangler, yeah, you did miss a Star Wars talk. But again, you can always rewind it back about probably 20 minutes and be able to get there. I haven't read Doomsday Clock yet, but I need to. And okay, I'm actually hearing my kid cry, so I got to run. I like to keep these at about an hour anyway, and we're pretty much at just about an hour. So I'll be back on tomorrow, hopefully a little bit earlier than 3 p.m. We'll see what's going on. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. Thanks for coming in. And if you missed anything, look for the replay. This will be up afterward. Bad audio and all. And I'll see you guys later. Peace out.